Okay, so if you saw this past video I did showing how to make the little cakes for two, little lickety split cakes, and I showed you how to freeze them and everything, now we're going to actually ice them. So I have my video that I'm about to show you that shows how to make the icing and actually how to pipe and ice a cake. The first thing that we need to do is take 1 cup, which equals 2 sticks of regular butter, and whip those up to where it's nice and creamy. Now this is vegan frosting that we're using to ice the little chocolate cakes that we made the other day. And so again, we have 1 cup, 2 sticks of vegan butter in here, and we're just going to whip them up so that it'll be a little bit creamier. And it is at room temperature right now, so we'll see how we do. So the next thing we want to do is actually we're going to add 3.5 cups of powdered sugar to this recipe, just confectionery or powdered sugar, whatever you want to call it. But we need to add it slowly. So I'm going to slowly add 3 cups. And what I normally do to just help me keep up with it, because again, you know how I told y'all before I like to use a 1/2 cup measuring cup, is I like to keep a little piece of paper beside me. And you can do it one of 2 ways. I normally go ahead and put the marks on here of how many 1/2 cups I need, and then as I slowly put them in, I can mark them off, and that way I know I've got everything in there. So let's go ahead and start putting that in slowly. One of the main reasons to do it slowly is to keep it from spraying all over your kitchen. Okay, and then one last thing, as you can see, I've marked all my marks, so I know I've got all of the confectionery sugar in. And what I like to do at the very last is run it on high for a few seconds and just make sure that everything has gotten mixed in, and before I start adding my wet ingredients. And the next step we need to do is put a tiny bit of salt in here. And again, if you've watched any of my prior videos, you know I really don't like adding salt, so I just put just a tiny bit in. And then we're going to add the milk. Now the milk is what you're going to use if your frosting is a little too thick. But you want to start out with, it says 1 to 2 tablespoons that you can use. I'm going to start out with 1 tablespoon and see how well that does. And of course I'm just using almond milk. You want to use any type of vegan milk that you like. Okay. We're going to keep that with us just in case we need it. And then the last thing we need to add is our vanilla bean paste, and that we need to add 1 tablespoon. Okay. Okay. Got that in there. Okay, and now we're just going to mix that up until it's all nice and incorporated. Okay, well, I think that looks really good. What you're going to do is you're just going to kind of test it out and see if it looks like it's something that you could frost. If it's too wet, then add a little bit of confectionery sugar. If it's a little too dry, then you can always add a little bit more milk. But I think that looks really good and able to be frosted, so we're going to go with that. And the other great part about using vegan frosting is you can try it out. There's no egg. Yum, yum, yum. All right, so what we need to do first is get our cake out where we froze it. See, I've still got it in the saran wrap where it was frozen before. And I put it in the refrigerator for a day to kind of thaw it out that way. All right. Let's see how it turns out. Again, all new to me. Everything I read said you should put it double saran wrap, so I did. And then I put some wax paper on the top to help the top stay pretty. Let's see how that worked out. It's kind of silly because we are going to cut the dome off of this bottom one. So the next thing I need to do is kind of flatten this cake out a little bit so that when I put the top on, it's not all wobbly. So let's see, we're just gonna kind of eyeball this. There are some fancy tools that you can buy that you can lay on your counter, and it basically has like a little thin saw blade that you put in the position of how tall you want your cake to be, and it cuts straight across for you. They're beautiful. They sell them at Michael's and Joann's. Okay, we're just gonna see how this goes. I would say do it gently because your hand is on the other side of this knife. So, okay, just lay that off to the side. I'm sure there'll be people around that would like to nibble on that. And I think what I'm going to do, see, I think I want to take a little bit more on this side to kind of flatten it out a little bit more. Again, just do it gently. It's just cake. It's not, you know, cement or anything, so you should be able to do it pretty gently. Okay, now I want to put what I'm going to be using as the bottom of my cake plate down so I can ice everything. So what I want to do now is just put a nice little layer of icing in between the cake layers and around the edges, and then we'll just continue to put the icing on. And I have not done a crumb coat, which is basically where you just take your icing and put a thin layer of icing around your cake, and it kind of holds all the crumbs in, and then you chill it for a little while, and that kind of holds the cake together for you. I have not done this. I might regret it, but okay. And if you have enough frosting, just make sure you've got enough frosting in between, because think about whenever you eat a piece of cake, you like to have a nice layer of frosting in between the layers and on top. Okay. All right, let's see how that looks. Holding on to that. That looks pretty good. The next thing we want to do is put our top layer on. And it's the same as the other one. I'm going to move this so I don't accidentally hit it. That we froze in double layer saran wrap. And you'll have to watch my other video on how I made these cakes, but everything is vegan. So if you want a wonderful little birthday cake for your fellow vegan or vegetarian, these look beautifully. As well as the fact that you don't have to make them vegan. They make really nice cakes for just the two of you or small portions. That's something that's really nice when you have you can have a nice small portion of something. All right, and then I'm just going to gently lay that on top. Okay, let's see, I think it needs to come over just a little bit. All right, and now we are just going to put the frosting to it. No, I've talked to you guys before about piping, and I'm going to play around with it a little bit while I've got you guys with me. And I have some of my leftover icing, and then I have the cake I iced, which is really funny because this shows you why you should never put your cake on straight when you're filming at the same time, because my cake is a little off kilter. But it's more for just playing. I'm going to feed it to some wonderful people who are very nice to me. And so I have my little Wilton 12-inch piping bag. I've gone ahead and cut off the tip. And then I have some couplers that I've gotten from another kit. And so I'm going to use those. And basically all that is you just put the plastic tip inside the bag. And it makes it where you don't have to pull the tip out of the icing every time you want to change your tip, which is going to be really important to me while I'm doing this, because I have lots of tips here that I want to try out. So see, I've got my plastic out. And all you basically do is you take one of your tips that you have, put it on there, and then screw it on. And then when you want to change it, unscrew that, take the tip off, and put on a new one. So it works out really wonderfully to have these. So I'm going to put a little icing in this bag, and we're just going to play around with these different tips that I have and see what they do. Because again, this is not something I normally practice with. Cake making and piping is not always something I do on a regular basis. So let's get this folded over first. Sorry for the loud noise. Get it down to the max line. And just fold it over your hand, and that way you can really hold on to the bag good. Okay. All right, and then we're just going to put some frosting in there. And again, since I have that coupler, I'll be able to change my tip a whole bunch. So I'm just going to fold that back up, kind of like that. And what you want to do is just twirl that so that you've got a nice, good handhold. Let's do this one. Okay. See, it says it is a Wilton number 21, and it has like a little miniature tips on there. So we're going to put that on there, and then screw that on. And let's see what we get out of that. Okay. So we have some pretty little squiggles. All right. So that's what that one does. And then I'm thinking this tiny one here, I don't know if you can see that. This one says it's a Wilton number 4. Most of my tips I've just kind of collected over the years, so some of them are not Wilton, some of them I don't know where they came from. So let's see. Let's see if this one writes if this is what I used to write something with. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, and all I'm doing is just giving a tiny little squeeze of the bag. I'm touching down and then just giving a little touch at the end. And if you were actually wanting to, write on something, I would say that you should kind of measure it out. There's a way you can use like almost not Q-tips, toothpicks to mark little holes so that you can make sure your writing is all straight and everything. All right, now this one has the same little prongs. It appears to not have any writing on it. It has the same little prongs, but this one seems to be a bigger tip, but they're a little bit more closed. So we'll put it right beside this one since that was the other type of tip. Okay, so see, it's the same type of squiggle, it just is a little bit bigger. Okay, it's just all you really need to do. I mean, if you end up with a bunch of little tools that you don't know what to do with and you're trying to learn, just get them all out one day when you have your, just a little bit of frosting left and have fun. Whoever's eating the cake is getting to eat a wonderful cake with good frosting. So that's really all they care about. All right, so this one, we're going to see what this one does. Okay, so this one has the same type of prongs as these other two. So it looks like I have small, medium, and large. Okay. These two look very, very similar here. So let's see what they do. See, that one has kind of an open sliver. Let's see. Nope, it doesn't have any writing either. We're going to do that around the bottom and see what it does. I'm going to do it where the tip, the longest tip of it, is down at the bottom and see what it looks like. Oh, okay. That does almost like a little ribbon. Okay. And then this one is a little bit more closed off, but a little bit bigger. And it says it is a Wilton 104. Yep. That's what it looks like. Just a nice little sliver. probably could, very manageable on that. I could see where that would be fun to play around with. So we have 2 tips left. We have one that's a little bit bigger than this tiny tip that we used to write on it. It's just looks a hair bigger. Oh, let's see, wait a minute. Does it have any? Nope, no writing on it. So it was just a little bit bigger than the thank you. Be able to see what I'm doing? Yeah, see, it's just a little bit bigger. So maybe not, you could still use it for writing, just for maybe a little bit bigger. Seems to have no writing on it, but it has the little tiny little prongs. I'm hoping you guys can see that. But it has little tips on each edge where it seems to go further down. So I'm not quite sure what it does. Let's see what it does. Oh, I think that's the one that you do leaves. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can get one up here that's... I don't know. That looks kind of like a little leaf. Or you could do like a little rosette. I don't know. Anyway, here we go. This was piping with Chatting with Chops, experimenting as we went, and I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe so I can keep making videos for you, and I will catch y'all on the next bake. Have fun!